Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Grateful Together podcast. I am so thankful that you tuned in today. I won't be before you long. I just wanted to share with you guys something that happened to me today, and I thought it was so profound. And I thought that someone else may need to hear this because it was definitely a reminder of how God is moving, not only in my life, but in people connected to me and also in your life. So I was like, I got to put this out. So I hope that it finds you in great spirits. So I want to start off by just saying the overall message of what I'm about to say is to fully release and trust God's timing. Trust his timing in everything that he is showing you, that he's telling you to do. It may not make sense. You may feel like you're losing it all, but God is not a God that he shall lie. He would never take something from you to replace it with something that's not better. So fully release whatever it is you're holding on to and really trust him that he's going to give you back more than what you lost. And like I've been talking about in the last episode, Romans 8:18. What you lost does not compare to what is coming. The joy that is coming does not compare to the pain and the suffering that you've been through. So give it to God and fully let go. So just quickly, I want to get into this message. So let's go. So today I hung out with one of my aunts and my cousin, and we ended up going to a furniture store, walking around looking for, some decor and stuff like that. So me and my cousin had stumbled across some lamps that she really enjoyed. And so she was kind of hesitant about buying them, but then ended up saying, like, once we left the store, we went to eat, and then we went to another store, and then we had to go back because I left my car at the store. So I was like, well, we got to go back anyway, so we can just go back in there and get them. Mind you, we might have been gone maybe like an hour or two, not too long. So I'm just like thinking that, nobody was thinking that these lamps wouldn't be there. So we ended up going back to the store. Lo and behold, somebody had got the lamps, got both of them because it was two. And so I told her, I said, listen, I was like, I know you like these lamps. I said, but I don't know. Because I told her, even when we were in the store, I was like, I don't know. I said, if you're not really certain about it, I'm like, they're cute. But if, you don't have peace about it, don't get them. And I was like, if it's meant, whatever. So when we went back, they weren't there. So I told her, I said, listen, don't be upset. I said, if they're for you, you'll get them. I said, if not, then you may find some more that you like. And so, just trying to lift her up in good spirits and stuff like that. So we ended up telling my aunt, like, listen, they're not in there. They're gone. And my aunt was like, what? Like, nobody could believe that they were gone. I really didn't think they were going to be gone. But I kind of felt like, I feel like they were very nice, but I felt like they were overpriced. So I was just like, well, I was going to say, y'all know me, but I don't know. When it comes to certain things, I'm like, I'll spend it. But I was just like, no. Because I had even told her, I was like, these could be about $20-$30 cheaper, I'm like, they're very nice though, but I'm like, it's your house, you get it if you want it. But she didn't have peace about it, so I'm like, we walked around and we ended up leaving them. So anyway, so my aunt was like, well, we can go to two other stores that's similar to this store because they're like in the same chain or whatever, like sister stores. So we ended up going to one store. They didn't have anything even close or similar to what my cousin was looking for. So at this point, I think I had given up hope or whatever. And so my aunt was like, well, there is one more store. So we ended up going to another store that was kind of like further out. So my aunt told her, like, call the store and, let's see if they have them before we drive way out here. Because they were at the beaches, from where we were at. And that was probably about a 20-minute, 30-minute ride. So she was like, and they closed at 9:30. And mind you guys, it was already like almost like 9:10. So we're literally, 20 minutes away, 15 minutes or whatever, trying to go to this store and get these lamps, hoping that they even have them. So we call, they pick up. And so she has to keep telling the people, like, I think she told them like 3 times what she was looking for. And so they end up basically coming back to the phone saying that they didn't have them. They checked, they didn't have them. And so when she hung on the phone, I said, girl, listen, they did not even check for them lamps. I don't care what they're telling you. They did not check. I was like, it's close to them closing. They're not looking for no lamps for real. And so I was like, so my aunt was like, well, we can still go. She was like, y'all gonna have to get in and get out, but we can still go. So I'm like, okay. So I told her, I said, listen, don't worry. It's gonna be okay. So literally we pull up to the store, we jump out, it puts us out at the front. Like we literally, I had done came home, we stopped by my house. I was like, let me change my clothes because we finna, have to go hunt. I need to be able to, walk fast. And I had on like a little, some slides and a cute little outfit earlier. So I was like, let me put on my hunting outfit. Like I'm finna go in here and not play no games. So I put the Crocs on, put them things in sport mode. I was ready. Okay. I was ready. So we end up getting to the store, get in there, literally, we jump out, go in, because mind you, we got like 10 minutes left. And so, or really less than that, like, literally, we had no time. So we literally got in there, I'm looking, I'm like, okay, where are the lamps at? So we go, I'm going to the right, because I'm thinking about the store we was previously at. So I'm like, let's go to the right. So I say, okay. So I walk down there, I see the lamps. I'm going down now. So at this time, I don't see the lamp she's currently looking for, but I didn't say anything. I'm like, okay, we still got 2 more hours to look over. So then, right when I was getting ready to tell her, like, oh, I don't think they got them, I looked up and I saw the lamps. And I said, girl, they got it. They got the lamps. But she wanted 2. I said, well, I only see 1. And so, she came and walking behind me and she was like, wait, there was like a chair in front of the other lamp, but it was on a lower shelf. So the one I saw was higher up and the other one was lower. So it was hiding behind like a chair. So you really had to be looking for it to see it. So she was like, wait, is that it? And so I was like, girl, I said, look at this. I said, look at God. I said, listen, not only, okay, yeah, we had to go further out to get them. I said, but sometimes it is what it is. But not only was she able to get the 2 lamps that she previously was going to buy at another store, but she ended up saving because the lamps were priced at $79.99 at the store we went to. But when we end up finding them the second time and actually purchasing them, they were $49.99. Mind you, I had just told her in the store, I was like, these can go for a little cheaper. But if that's what you want, get it. And like I said, she didn't have peace about it. She was like, I'm going to think about it. So again, she decided, well, I want these lamps. We went back, they weren't there. So we had to go to 2 other stores. We went to 3 stores in total. We went to 2 other stores and found them at the last store where they told us they did not have these lamps. We could have took that at face value and said, you know what? They ain't got them. We're going to just go home because it's already late. We really pushed for time, but still we kept our hope alive, the little mustard seed of faith that we had. And we went out there. Me and my cousin jumped out. I found one. She found the other one. I looked at the price tag. I said, girl, look, you're getting them for $50 a piece. So where you was going to be spending $160 roughly, you're saving $60. What? I told her, I said, girl, I told you, the ones that were in that other store were not for you. But these were saved specifically for you because you were willing to sacrifice and wait. You were willing to think about it. And when you realized that they weren't there, you still went and look for them. I said, and God you had to let go of what you wanted, the ones you thought were specifically for you, to get what God had for you. It's the same lamps at a better price. And it was so funny because I noticed that there was 4 people in the store that was just at the same store we were at. So I told her, I said, ooh, girl, they're looking for something too, because these were the same people that was in the store. And so I guess my cousin didn't really remember them because we were, like I said, on a hunt for the lamps. So she was like tuned in, tunnel vision. And I was like, nah, I said, I remember them. I remember seeing them at the other store. So I was like, oh, they must really be looking for something too. And so, but they ended up leaving empty handed. And I was like, we walked out and my auntie said the same thing. She was like, yeah, because I seen them people at the other store we was just at. They must be looking for something too, but they didn't find it. And I was like, yep. I said the same thing. They look for something specific. And I was like, they left out empty-handed. I said, but we walked out with a bargain. The same 2 lamps we were just going to get and spend over price. We're going to spend that money to get these lamps, but we got them at a better price. And I said, oh, ain't that just like God? He paid the price. And the price that God paid for us is priceless. And because we are children and daughters of a king, we get that kind of victory. We don't have to overpay for what it is that we want. And sometimes we may be feeling like, dang, I missed an opportunity. Whole time it was a whole setup. it was that. My auntie kept saying, yeah, it was destined for you to get this. And I kept saying, yep, it sure was. I said, because girl, yeah, we had to go out a little further, but I said, we got there in the nick of time. We ended up getting 2 of the lamps that you wanted at a better price. You literally saved, $60. So I was like, that's nobody but God. I'm like, because at the end of the day, I had just told you that they should have been priced at about $49.99 or $59.99. I knew they were overpriced. And I was like, I said that's sometimes how we feel, like, because we want what we want. We feel like we have to pay a bigger price. I said, but God is so good that he knows what we need and where to find it. I said, now imagine had we would have gave up and said, you know what? They don't have them. We're just going to go home. We would have missed out on the bargain. And I was just like, oh my God. I was just thinking, I'm like, and I'm glad that it was the 3 of us together because, me and my auntie were there like, don't beat yourself up. We're going to keep looking. Just keep your faith. Keep your faith alive. Something so simple as the lamps. But that's what we need to have. We need to be postured and just continue to keep our faith in everything in our lives, remembering that God has something better for us. What we lost doesn't compare to what's coming. God may take something from you and give you the same thing at a better price because that's just how great his love is. So be okay with not feeling like you got to overpay or go the extra mile to get something. Because one thing that I always tell myself, that if I don't have peace about doing something, I'm not going to do it. And then that's also what I said previously about when I had to I was looking at something and I ended up taking a different route because I was just like kind of nervous about it. But the whole time I wound up back at the same thing I was supposed to do, and it worked in my favor. Same exact scenario. You got to trust God and know that if he didn't allow it to go through that first time, when you find it again, it's going to be at a better price. Because the price God paid for us is priceless. The price that Jesus paid on that cross is priceless. So he wants abundance for us. Even if that looks like saving $60 on some lamps. It's that simple. Because you are a child of God, you get that kind of discount. And I'm not just talking about lamps here. So if you think I'm ranting about some lamps, it's not. It's about the bigger picture. That's how God's love for us works. His love gives us the access. It gives us the things that other people may not have access to. His favor, his abundance, his grace. And all you got to do is believe. Believe that what you are releasing, you are giving it to the right person. And he will bring that thing back. And he will give you a better price. And that's across the board for whatever it is. Your career, your family, your friendships, For instance, with me, when it comes to dating, I had to be willing to let a previous relationship go and trust that I'm going to be able to come back and get a better relationship and be in a better position to steward this next relationship whenever it comes better. I got to let go of what I wanted to get what God has for me. And it will be given to me at a better outcome. So you got to be willing to let go. Release it and give it to God. Put it in his hands because he got you. Something so simple. I was like, oh, this is so profound. Like, what? I'm like, because what's for you is for you. It don't matter. And I told her, I kept saying in the car when we got the lamps from the last store, I said, girl, I told you, those lamps at that other store were not for you. They were overpriced. But they could have been for somebody else. But God saved these for you for a better price. Yeah, you had to search that thing out and hold on to your faith. And I said, it's something so simple as this. It's a simple test of faith. Will you trust me that even if I don't give you these lamps back, I have something greater for you? And because she was diligent and because she didn't give up, she said, you know what? Okay, we'll go to the store. We'll look. Even though you got people on the phone talking about we don't even have them. And I told her, I said, girl, let me be real. Them people didn't look for them lamps. They didn't even look. And when we got to the store, I'm like, look at this store. They're not looking for no lamps. They trying to get ready to close because they got 10 minutes to close. Whole time we went in there, found them, and checked out. Literally. The same way I went in there and found it, all I did was look for a black and let me tell y'all how I really know they didn't look. These were the only lamps in there with black shades. The only two. So had they really looked, they would have saw them. I said, but that's just the enemy. That's what the enemy does. He comes in and he tries to discourage you. He comes in and he tries to tell you, oh no, God can't do that. Oh, you thought God spoke that? No, you should have got it when you saw it the first time. You missed that opportunity. Whole time, it wasn't a missed opportunity. It was a divine intercession. God intervened and allowed you not to get what you thought was at a better price. He allowed you not to settle and overpay because he had something on the other side of the testing that was worth the endurance. Yeah, you had to go a little further. Yeah, you had to search a little farther and sorry, I can't even talk. Yeah, you had to go a little further and you had to trust God a little longer. But in the end, you got what you were looking for at a better price. And it's just like the enemy to show up in that moment and say, nope, God never told you that. Nope, God can't do that for you. Nope, God doesn't love you. No, he hasn't forgiven you or whatever. Because all the enemy can do is lie. When she hung up that phone, I told her, I said, girl, they're lying. All of them, they're lying. Nobody went and checked for the lamps. And when we was in the store, I told her, I said, I should ask them, like, oh, I just called, like, I was talking to somebody about some lamps. Can you tell me who I was talking to? So I could look them dead in the face and say, oh, so it was you that sat on that phone and lied to me? But I was like, it ain't never that deep. I'm like, but it just goes to show you, that's the enemy. He wanted you to lose something so simple as some $60 on lamps. He wanted you to make you feel like, oh, you made a bad decision. You messed up. Something so simple as not purchasing something. That's how the enemy does. And I know my cousin felt bad because she felt like she had missed an opportunity. Like, oh, I really like these and I wanted them and I should have just got them. I said, girl, no. If it was meant for you to get them, they would have still been sitting there. Those particular ones were not for you. Why? Because God has something on the other side of the testing of your faith to see if you're going to trust him to do something so simple as give you these same lamps. Not only did he give her those lamps, but he gave it to her at a better price. That's the same thing he wants to do for me. The same thing he wants to do for you. He wants to give you better. He wants you to let go of what he's telling you to let go of so he can give you better. At a better price. You don't have to overpay. You don't have to buy this thing and feel like, oh, I gotta have it. You don't have to go in a bidding war because it's already yours. It may not be that specific one. It may not be that specific job or that specific house, that specific car. And let me tell you, thank you, Holy Spirit. Oh my God, because it reminds me of my car situation. And if you've been following the podcast, you know this story by heart, and I'm sorry to keep repeating it, but I got to consistently remind you guys that something so simple, it's all a test. It's a test of your faith. Are you going to trust God with the little things? Because if you can trust him with the little things, you're more than able to trust him with the big things. So will you trust God enough to let him replace your lamps, quote unquote? And like I said, with my car, I literally went to the old dealership that I went to get my other car, saw the exact same car I have today on the lot. I just knew I was driving away with that car because I'm like, God, I know what you spoke. You told me that I was going to get this car. This is the car that I wanted. Ever since I had my other car, I wasn't planning on getting this car. I wasn't planning on getting rid of my old car. But because that's what I had to do, I said, you know what? I told myself I was going to get this car when I had got it for a loan or when something was wrong with my older car. I said, I love this car. This is the car I want. Since I have to get another car, you're telling me to do this. So I'm trusting you. I prayed about it. God showed me. Cool. Trust me that I'm going to get you this car. But I was discouraged because all the ones I was seeing were overpriced. The miles were high. I didn't have peace about settling in it. But I went to this one dealership. They had the exact same car I have today. It was priced. Was it a little? No, it was really. It was 2,000. I think it was like 28,000. I want to say. Yeah, I think it was like 28,000, and I paid how much did I pay for mine? I didn't pay $28,000. I pay a lot less than that. But when I went to go apply for the car, I was like, the payment that they had was ridiculous. Even with my trade-in, they wanted to give me $250 solid dollars from my 2015 Kia Soul that had practically brand new everything. It was nothing wrong that I could really get fixed, but I had a lot of miles on my car. But I'm like, $250, y'all gotta be kidding me. And then the payment on it was almost $600. Who finna pay $600? Not me. I was like, nah. But in the realization, I'm sitting here trying to bargain and say, well, you know what? I need a car, because sometimes desperate measures call for desperate times call for desperate measures. We feel like, oh, well, I need a car, so I have to compromise. And God was like, no, I didn't have peace about it. My sister was like, girl, no, you're not getting this car. Do you hear how crazy you sound? Trying to rationalize what doesn't make sense. The $250 for the car, for one, doesn't make sense. And the payment on this car doesn't make sense. And so I was like, you know what? I say, you're right. I'm not gonna get it. I'm gonna walk away from this or whatever. And then he ended up coming to me like with like $550, and I was like, no, $50 don't do nothing for me. So I ended up walking away with no car, and I literally broke down because I was just like, I feel so stupid. I know that God told me this is the car I'm gonna get, and I know, and like the VIN number on this car, it ended in 777. So I was like, oh my God, this is the car. I know we get this car. Y'all, I did not get that car. Okay. I walked to the car in shame, and we ended up going to get something to eat, and my sister was just like, listen, she was like, don't beat yourself up. At the end of the day, obviously there's another way that God is going to provide this for you. And so she helped me rationalize and be real. She was like, you was in there literally talking about stuff that didn't make no sense. You're in here compromising stuff that just wasn't common sense. Like, what is wrong with you? And she was like, you don't have to overpay. You don't have to compromise to get what God has for you. She was like, none of that made sense. And you know it didn't. She was like, and don't feel like you got to rush into what you see. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And so I ended up going that same day. I ended up selling my Kia Soul. I ended up selling that and getting more than $250. I couldn't believe they tried me. And I still couldn't find a car. It took me almost a month. I was carless. I was driving my sister's car. And I finally ended up finding the car I have today, the same exact Sportage. Less miles, a less price, and a newer model. I think my car was a year newer than the other one. They were a year apart. And the other one had like 50-something thousand miles on it, which now my car has the same amount, but I didn't get it at 50,000. I got it at 12,000. So I was just like, and the payment is not no $500, $600. I mean, because that's what he said, right? 600. But yeah, 600 to 550. Is you crazy? But I just said all that to say that I had to trust God. I know what he spoke. I know what he told me. Yeah, I thought that was the car, but I was compromising too much. And I ended up literally getting pre-approved through Capital One or whatever. And I had been pre-approved for a while. I just couldn't find a car. And I literally went to the dealership to look for another car. I had another car. I was looking at what was it? The Volkswagen Taos is what I was looking for. It was brand new. I think it was like 20,000. And I was like, well, I could just get that and call it a day. But I didn't really want that car. I mean, it was nice. It's still nice. But I was like, this isn't the car I wanted. But I was, again, about to compromise and settle because I couldn't find what I wanted. And so something told me, like, just look at their used cars. And literally, as soon as I looked to it, the used cars, I see the car that I had been looking for. Mileage was good. Price was good. Everything was good. So I thought it was too good to be true because I'm like, nah, it's a catch somewhere. So I ended up going to the dealership because I had already made an appointment to go see the Volkswagen Taos. The lady called me and said that it came that same day because it wasn't even at the dealership yet. So I was like, well, when it comes in, let me know. I'm already pre-approved. I literally just want to come test drive it, look at it, do whatever, and get a car because I need a car. And at this point, I had my mind made up. I'm going to just get the Taos. And so it was literally all white. black trim or whatever, same style as my car now, but obviously my Sportage is bigger than the Tejas. And I was like, I got there, told the lady who I was. She's like, oh, I remember you. And then I told her, I said, listen, I know I came to see the Tejas. I said, but I don't even want to see that car. And she was like, why? And I was like, well, there's another car you have on the lot. I've been looking for it for a month. And this is my car. I was like, I'm leaving this parking lot with this car unless you guys can't, meet the terms of what I'm, thinking of. And so she was like, okay. And she had looked and she was like, well, it's a good thing because the Tejas that you came to see, it's not even available to see because it's being serviced. And I was like, nobody but God. I said, but that's okay. I said, I don't even need to see it. I don't need to see it. I don't need to test drive it. I said, I want to test drive that Sportage. I test drove it. I told her, I said, yeah, this is it. I said, I don't know, how long we going to be here. Literally, it was a smooth process. I had peace about it. I was happy. Like, I was so overjoyed, y'all. And I wasn't even at the dealership for like an hour. I was there maybe 45 minutes. It's that. I probably was there maybe about an hour. But, sometimes you be there all day. It literally took no longer than an hour. I went in. I told her what I wanted. I test drove it. We rode it around. I went in. I said, let's do it. Let's run the numbers. I said, I'm already pre-approved. I waited maybe 15 minutes for the finance man, signed my papers, drove off the lot, went home. Boom, that fast. It didn't take all day. It wasn't a drawn out process like it was previously with the other car that I thought was mine. Literally drove off the lot with the same car at a better price, at better mileage, and a peace of mind. The literal car that I have today. So don't tell me that God can't do it. It's not that you heard him wrong. You just got to stretch your faith a little bit. It may not be that specific one. It may not be that specific job at that specific company. You may be doing that same thing at another company. It may not be that specific house from that specific lender. It may be a similar house from a different, whatever it is for you. I don't know. You know your situation. But trust God enough to know that whatever he spoke to you, like I told you in the previous one, the promise still stands. Which I didn't upload that on here. I uploaded it on YouTube. So if you're not following the YouTube, I suggest you go over there because I put a lot more videos on YouTube than I do on the podcast now. But the promises still stand. Whatever God told you, it's going to come to pass and it's still happening for you. That city may not be the city. That state may not be the state. God may bless you with the same things he spoke in a different place. And that's okay. Because it's still going to be the same thing God said. He's not a man that he will lie. If God said that he was going to do that specific thing for you, he's still going to do it. So trust him. And I just wanted to encourage you guys because sometimes we see the thing that God spoke and it be right in front of us. And then when it don't go through or when it falls through, like, for instance, if you're buying a house and you get to the closing table and for whatever reason you can't close, and you're like, well, God, I know you told me this was the house. Yeah, but you may not be getting it at this price. You may have to wait a little longer for it to come down on price. And I know that's hard to hear sometimes because we want what we want and we want it now. When I went to that car dealership, I wanted a car right then and there because I knew I needed a new car. But I had to wait, literally. And, for my cousin, thank God, she got the lamps in the same day within a couple of hours. But for me, I had to literally go sell my car, and I was carless for a month with a toddler. Or not even a toddler. He wasn't even a toddler yet. He was practically still a newborn. He wasn't even one yet. But thankfully, I had my sister's car because she wasn't driving her car. So I wasn't technically carless, but it wasn't my car. And, when you use other people's stuff, you don't want to get in it and be freeloading like it's yours. You want to be mindful because it's still her car. She still need her car as much as I needed my own car. And so when I got my car, I was very grateful and thankful because I'm like, even though this was hard, I stuck it out. And I was giving up and I was losing hope because all the cars I was seeing didn't make sense. And I wasn't going to compromise anymore. And God showed me you don't have to compromise. And it'd be that moment when you stop looking, that moment when you give up hope and you start settling. Because even with my cousin, she was like, well, I do like these lamps. And I looked at her, I said, girl, no, those are not even similar to the ones you was going to get. No, ma'am. Put those back. Put those down. That ain't it. But sometimes when you start settling, like I said with me, I was literally going to walk off the lot with the Tejas. I wasn't even going to look for the Sportage no more. And God showed up and said, I kept this for you. Because the lady even told me, she was like, we've had this car for like a few weeks. And she was like, people come in and they test drive it and they love it, but for whatever reason, they don't get it. And I thought to myself, because it's mine. And literally it is, because I have that car to this day. And if you don't believe me, I would say you can ask my sister, but y'all don't know her. Some of y'all don't. But yeah, she was there with me. She was there when the guy was talking to me crazy about getting the first Sportage. She was there when he was trying to give me $250 for my Kia Soul. She was there when I sold the car. And then let me tell y'all, I'm going to finish with this, because I forgot all about it. So I ended up leaving the Kia dealership to go. We ate. I broke down at the restaurant because I just couldn't believe. I'm like, Lord, these people tried me. $250 for a car that literally I had one payment. I was finna pay it off. I had one payment left. Like literally finna pay it off. I didn't want to sell my car, but I know that's what God was telling me to do. And I knew he told me that I was going to get a Sportage. So I couldn't understand. I'm like, this man talking to me crazy. And when I decided not to take the car, like his whole attitude shifted, because obviously he seen that he wasn't going to get sold. So then he started showing me all these cars, like that was just jacked up and all this, like, what? And I was just like, nah. I said, it's good, bro. Like, I'm leaving. So we ended up walking off the lot, going to get something to eat. And then she was like, let's just see if we can sell it. And so that's when she's like, I have my car. You can just drive my car. Da, da, da. So I was like, okay. So we ended up just going to CarMax. And literally when I got to CarMax, mind you, we called them to ask, like, what time was the latest appointment that we could do, because it was already late in the day. And like I said, we spent hours at Kia. Like, we went early in the morning, and then we didn't leave till like later in the afternoon. So when we got to CarMax, it was about to be like, it was like close for them to be closing or whatever from doing the appraisals or whatever. So we got there literally in the nick of time. And then my car cut off at the light. I was like, oh my God, we're not going to make it. Like, it was a whole thing. And like I said, that's just like the enemy, because he wanted me to sit there and just settle. He wanted me to take that first option. And God said, no, I'm not going to let you settle. I'm not going to let you overpay. I'm going to give you what it is I feel that you deserve, So we ended up going, and when we got there, you guys, I'm telling you, no lie. When we got there, I looked at my sister. I was like, well, did you tell the lady my information when you called? She was like, I didn't tell the lady my information. I'm sitting in the car on the phone with you. Like, I'm right next to you in the passenger seat. You didn't hear me tell that lady nothing. I literally just asked her, what's the latest time y'all do appraisals? When we got there, you guys, my name was already on the board for an appointment. Like, what? And I told my sister, I said, girl, look, my name's up there. And I was thinking, okay, well, maybe it could have been somebody else. And so I was like, because there's a lot of, I know for a fact there's another Jasmine. So I was just like, dang, like, that's crazy. Like, how they got my name up there? We didn't tell them none of that. And so my sister was like, I don't know. She was like, I don't know. Because I didn't tell them. And I didn't tell them. So when we walked up to the thing, I was like, I am here to make an appointment for the president. She was like, yeah, we already got your information. And I was like, how? And she was like, I don't know. It was already put in the system. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, we didn't make an appointment. And she was like, well, I don't know. It was already up there. So I'm like, okay, cool. And I sat down and I was like, that's crazy. Like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Y'all were already expecting me. Like, literally, I can't tell you how my name got on that board, because I know for a fact my sister didn't put it on there. I didn't put it on there. And like I said, I sounded stupid when I asked her, like, did you tell her my name? Like, she's like, no, you heard me tell her. I literally just asked her, what time is the last appraisal? I'm like, you right. We wasn't the same car. But that's just how much God will go to fit. Like, God will set an appointment for you. He will have people already expecting you. And when you get there, it's going to be a smooth process. I sold my car. Like I said, ended up being like having my own car carless for a month. And then I ended up getting pre-approved. I was pre-approved for like a week and a half, and it was time was coming up for my pre-approval to be expired, because that's how long it was taking for me to find the car. So I was just going to settle for this stay. I said, God said, no, you're not, because the exact place you're going looking for something else is where you're going to go and find what you've been looking for this whole time, because you trusted me, because you were patient. Even though you did kind of give up and you started looking the other way, I'm going to reward you for your obedience to me, because you trusted me. You trusted my word. And when you got to the dealership, you didn't question it. You didn't say, well, let me drive the other car to see which one. No, you stuck with what you wanted. You trusted that I was going to make this possible. Now, was I in there looking crazy? Because I was like, Lord, what did they come back saying they can't honor what I'm looking for? It was literally nothing. I literally told her, I said, this is how much I'm going to put down. This is what I want my payment to be. I said, I've already been pre-approved, so everything should be smooth selling. Literally smooth selling. Did financing, signed the paper, got my car, and I drove it home. And the whole ride home, I was just crying tears of joy, because I couldn't believe how fast it was. Like, you guys know, when y'all go to the dealership and get a car, it takes a long time. Like I said, that first car dealership I went to, we were there practically the whole day, and I was aggravated. I'm like, I'm hungry. My son's hungry. My sister's hungry. We're all agitated. We've been here too long. We got to go. And to be there for that long and not walk off with a car, you had to know I was pissed. But it's okay, because all things work together for the good of those who love God. That worked in my favor. God didn't allow me to settle or compromise or overpay for the very thing that he had reserved for me. My name was already on that car. And I told her, I said, when she said, this car's been here for a little minute, people come in and test drive it. They love it. But for whatever reason, they don't walk away with it. I said, because it was mine. God was saving this for me. And I could have had it sooner had I would have been looking for in the right places. But because I was trying to get one brand new, and then when I started looking at used ones, I didn't look at the dealership I went to. I just ended up just randomly saying, well, let me see if they have one. And lo and behold, I typed it in, and literally it was the first one on the list. And I was mind blown. I'm like, you telling me this whole time I could have had this car a couple weeks ago? But that's okay, because it worked in my favor. So I don't know what it is that you got to release and change your mindset about. But give that thing to God. Let it go, so that God can give you the rightful one that he has for you. I don't care what that is. You know what that is. So I just want to encourage you to stay encouraged. Take that faith and let it continue to drive you. Don't be led by your feelings and your flesh and I want it right now. No, wait for it. Habakkuk 2:2. Even though it tarries, wait for it. For an appointed time will come, and that thing will come. The very thing that has your name on it will be yours at the right time. That's what this was about today. Same lamps, better price, stronger faith. We can apply that to our everyday life for whatever it is you believe in God for. And one more thing I want to just make notice of. I just realized this as I was finishing, because I started recording this before 12 a.m., but obviously I finished it right at 12 o'clock on the dot. And so I said, Lord, isn't that just like you? Because today is April 14th. We all know Esther 4:14. For such a time as this. For such a time as this. You have been called for such a time as this. Everything that you are doing, everything that God has for you will come to you in the appointed time. This is the time. So release it. Let him do what it is that he's going to do. And let him bring those things back to you for such a time as this. Listen, if you don't get it, I can't help you. But I thought that was so profound, because I'm like, oh, I forgot today's 4:14. And I started recording this on the 13th. But it split over until today, the 14th. I said, oh, Lord, for such a time as this. So thank you for tuning in. I will talk to you guys on the next episode. Again, if you have not subscribed or checked out YouTube, check it out. Link will be, it's in the description, each and every episode. I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. Be blessed. Continue to remain grateful because it makes you gorgeous. Bye.